In almost every company, there's this hidden tug of war going on. It's this constant battle between building a great people first culture and just following all the rules. Well, today, we're going to architect a blueprint to end that conflict for good and create a truly resilient organization from the ground up. So let's get into it. So, at the heart of so many organizations is this fundamental tension. On one side, you've got this push for a people centric culture, one that's built on trust, engagement, and growth. And on the other side, you have the absolute need for organizational integrity. That means rules, compliance, and, let's be honest, avoiding risk. It often feels like you have to pick one, that it's a zero-sum game where one side has to lose. But what if that's a false choice? What if you could actually architect them to work together? And that brings us to our solution, a foundational blueprint. It's just like building a house, right? You need a solid plan before you ever start laying bricks. This isn't just about writing down some new policies. It's a full-on architectural design for your entire organization, one that's engineered to turn that conflict into a real source of strength. And here it is, the core of that blueprint, the HR and compliance framework. Think of it as this holistic system that's designed specifically to balance employee engagement with organizational accountability. Our source for this explainer, Program Matters, describes it as a way to build transparent, resilient systems by literally weaving workforce policies together with those essential compliance safeguards. So where do we start building? Well, every strong structure has to start with a solid foundation. And in our blueprint, that's the HR foundation. This means creating really clear, consistent rules for the entire employee journey. I mean, from the day someone is recruited to how their performance is managed, how they're paid, and how they can actually grow in the company. If you get this right, you have a stable bedrock to build everything else on. And the payoff for getting this foundational work done? It's immediate. I mean, when everyone knows the rules of the game, ambiguity just disappears. And when that ambiguity is gone, trust can actually start to grow. This kind of transparency is what really builds a culture of fairness, where people feel genuinely confident in the system around them. Okay, so a strong foundation is absolutely essential, but it also needs to be protected, right? Let's move to the next part of our blueprint and see how we build on top of it, setting the safeguards. This is where we integrate compliance, but not as an afterthought. We build it in as a core structural component. And this is how it works in the real world. We stop thinking of compliance as some separate department that just says no all the time. Instead, it's woven directly into everyday HR. Hiring practices are built around labor laws from the get-go. Workplace safety isn't a checklist. It includes regulatory monitoring from day one. The big shift here is that compliance becomes part of the organization's operational DNA. The impact of this dual focus approach is just huge. On one hand, you're protecting the organization from some very costly legal penalties. But it's not just about avoiding the bad stuff. You're also actively building your credibility with employees, with customers, with investors, showing everyone that you're a well-managed organization that takes its responsibilities seriously. Now, that's how you manage risk effectively. And this part is key. It's not about just reacting to problems after they happen. This whole framework is about proactive risk management. It's about looking ahead, trying to anticipate challenges before they even pop up, whether that's a shift in regulations, a potential workforce dispute, or some complex new ethical dilemma. All right, so we have the foundation and we have the safeguards. But any good blueprint needs someone to oversee the construction and the maintenance, right? That brings us to governance and accountability. So who makes sure this entire structure actually works day in and day out? It's really the most essential question. A great plan on paper is pretty useless without clear ownership. So who's actually responsible for making sure this framework is more than just a document, that it's a living, breathing part of the culture? The answer is, it's a shared responsibility. It has to be a partnership. You've got HR leaders driving the people-centric policies, you have compliance officers providing that critical oversight, and then you have the executive team providing the high-level sponsorship and, of course, the resources. When these three groups work together, accountability gets embedded at every single level of the organization. And here's the real proof of a system that's working. When a grievance or some kind of misconduct happens, there isn't chaos. There's a clear, defined path. An issue is raised, it follows a predefined escalation process, it leads to a fair resolution, and this is the best part, the lessons learned are fed back into the system so it can continuously improve. It's efficient, it's fair, and it builds incredible confidence. So now let's step back for a second and just look at the final structure that we've built. By integrating a strong HR foundation with robust compliance safeguards and clear governance, we've actually architected something truly powerful, the resilient organization. A truly resilient organization, one that's built on this framework, has 5 core attributes. It's transparent and fair because of that strong HR foundation we talked about. It's compliant thanks to those integrated safeguards. It's resilient, able to adapt to challenges because of clear governance. And finally, it's strategically aligned, making sure all of this actually supports the bigger mission of the business. Ultimately, it all comes down to this one idea. We've taken two concepts that so often feel like they're in opposition, people-centric policies and regulation-compliant processes, and we fuse them together. The result is one unified system where each part actually makes the other part stronger. This quote from the source material just captures the whole idea perfectly. This isn't just about rules, it's about bridging the gap. It's about creating an environment where every single decision supports both the potential of your people and the integrity of your institution. And that really leaves us with one final thought for you. Take a hard look at your own organization. Does it have a clear blueprint? Is it truly balancing the needs of its people with the need for integrity? And maybe most importantly, is that blueprint built to last?